We're live. All right. My name is Netchess and Chill, Nolan, and I am here with.
Redneck Chess Club, Bill.
Oh, yeah. And we are actually going to be having a cool video for you guys. We're going to be playing like hand and brain chess, where Bill is actually a bit higher rated than I am. I think he's gotten to 1500, and I'm still around the 1200, 1300 range. So he's going to be the brain, and I'm going to be the hand. What do you think about that, Bill?
Uh, you could have come out with a better brain, but we'll see how this goes.
Oh man, I think we got two mighty fine brains right here, dude. So we're gonna get right into it, guys. We're playing Olga, who is a 1900 rated chess bot. I don't play um, bots all the time, but I have beaten like all the 1600 bots and lower. What about you, Bill? What's like the highest rated bot you've beaten?
I think I've beaten an 1800 once or twice, but usually I
That's
usually
pretty
play
good.
around my level 15, 1600.
Yeah, and I do that sometimes just for fun and just kind of to like waste time. I mean, they don't play correctly all the time, right? They'll like play like perfect chess and then blunder, right? Things
Yeah.
like that. But I think this will be kind of a challenge. This is a 1900 rated bot, and I've never faced such an opponent. So I'm kind of excited. Are you?
I'm excited. I'm ready to go.
All right, brother. Well, we are playing with the black pieces, and I'm gonna have to like tell the moves over to Bill because it's kind of we're having trouble like screen sharing everything. So, Bill, they are playing with the white pieces, and their first move is E3. All right,
E3. Okay. All
and
right.
me and Bill have kind of talked that we were gonna be playing more in like my opening style, and hopefully it translates, and we can like still coordinate good plans or whatever. But E3 is a weird move. I think Bill's probably in the same ballpark as me. Is like that's not what I expected you to play at all. So I would be trying to play the Sicilian here if they had played E4. So I was gonna try and go that way. Do you want to try and do something like that maybe? And I just go with like a C5, and it's good.
However, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm going to try C5 as a way to maybe try and take over the center. And the reason I was saying that is because if they go D4, I think we're comfortable. So I played C5, and it is a bot. So they played instantly, which is intimidating, right? They played knight to C3 immediately.
I see three.
So in these positions, typically, like I'm not too worried or anything, but in a Sicilian dragon, what I've been studying is if they had played E4 here instead of E3, we would have been playing right now D6, right? To like that's the Sicilian dragon, not the accelerated dragon or anything else, right? So D6 would have been one of the moves right now that I would have thought to play, but I also see that D5 is just viable because they did not play E4, and they
Yeah.
and our next move could very well just be knight f6, right? And that's just a developing move defending the pawn, and they're kind of on a weird foot, right?
This kind of does this look like a not necessarily the English with one C4, but this kind of looks to me like a Finketto type situation. Is kind of what I'm thinking.
On our
So maybe
end, I just don't want to
their
be
end.
on their end. It does look like they. I was about to say it does look like they might want to do what, like G3. Is that what you were thinking, or?
Yeah, I'm thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking they may try to play G3 and try to instead because if they put a pawn on there, then they're blocking the diagonal. So this kind of looks to me like they're trying to take control of the
If
white
we block,
piece.
if we do play D5, that's all the better then because we can easily follow up with E6 in the future. And like I said, just a developing move before we decide where we want to put our bishop would just be knight to F6, and that would defend the pawn. Our
Yeah,
queen would defend the pawn. It would be double defended. He's got nothing on it, and it would be blocking his bishop from coming to the C4 square also.
yeah, I like it. I like it.
It would allow a check though on bishop to bishop B5.
Yeah, but you get that kind of position in the Caro as well, and you just play knight to C6 and block the check. And I don't think that there's if he did play check here, you could play knight to C6, and he could damage your structure potentially. But I don't think that it really makes that much of a difference.
So do you think D5 is a good move here?
Yeah, D5 or knight to F6, either one. I wouldn't be opposed to either one.
I'm gonna go with D5 just because I think it's faster, and we can follow up with, like you said, knight to F6 maybe, whatever maybe need be, even if we, so like here, like this is kind of something different, right? Like I didn't expect him to bring the queen out to f3.
Did you already? Did you already play? Oh, he already. You played D5.
I
He played
played
D5.
d5, yes sir, and now he
Okay.
actually, and I'm trying to keep you in the suspense moment because he plays immediately, right? So he played queen to f3 immediately right after I played d5.
So he's double attacking our D pawn.
Well, yes, and I mean, like I said, we could very well defend that still with a move like knight f6, which I still think is the best move here because it also blocks any potential jazz that he wants to do, on on the f7 pawn.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I like knight to F6. Yeah, yeah. I like
okay,
that.
let's just go with that. I think that's just a regular move. Knights before bishops. I think we're still good here. All right. So now he played pretty instantly d4. Computer's intimidating, man. He's playing instantly, confident.
D4.
So he played d4, and typically here, what I would think is we could. I mean, we got some tension now, right? Like on the c5 and the d4 pawn, right? We got some tension there. There's some tension also on the d5 pawn, right? He's got two attackers, we got two defenders. Um, I think that something we could do is maybe say you moved your queen too early and moved the bishop out to g4, but maybe that's a little too much, right? I mean, the queen is where the knight would want to go if you were white, right?
Yeah. So if you move the bishop there, and he just moves the queen, then you forced him to make a move that he already wants to make, which is going to be to go knight F3. So I think I would probably hold off on that. If he moves the queen, then maybe you come up with that pin. But right now, we don't have to play E6 yet. So I would probably hold off on that bishop move because you're forcing him to make a move he wants to make. So he's going to want to get that queen off that square to make room for the knight. As long as the queen's there, that's uncomfortable for him. So I think let's hold off and make him burn his own move and then come in and hit the knight. That's probably how I would play.
What if we play a move like a6 and then followed up by like a b5, b4 sort of thing?
So I would, I'm thinking because we're either going to have to play e6 to protect our pawn, protect the
But then
c5.
our light square bishop hates life.
Right. So I would probably take that pawn, just exchange on d4.
So typically, I think I like to have the knight out on c6 immediately, like when I play like a c5 in the Caro Kann. Like, and now granted, I've switched over now to the Dragon Sicilian, but when I play the Caro Kann, if I haven't gotten this bishop out yet, I block that check immediately with a piece. Either I am going to be slow as crap and play a move like a6, which I'm not going to lie, I wouldn't play that very often, but he does have a knight there and he does have a bishop there ready to take advantage of the b5 square, and it's very undefended by us, right?
Yeah, but if he plays the check on b5, then the same thing with us playing our bishop out. We already want to play knight to c6 anyway, so he's forcing us to make a move that we already want to make.
I almost would rather him also grab the c pawn because it takes a pawn away from the center, and we're gonna win it right back.
We could we could go ahead and play knight to c6. If he captures, then play e4. Uh,
e4.
but in that position, he plays
What do you
b4.
mean e4? We can't play
Oh, I'm
e4.
sorry, e5. Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry about that. Yeah, I'm saying just take the
No,
full
yeah,
center.
no, I know what you mean. Yeah, and yeah, it isn't defended enough times. You're right. So let's do that. Let's just develop. How about that? Like knight to c6. Do you see anything wrong with that move?
I think that we'd have trouble getting our pawn back after b4.
After b4. Um,
Yeah, he takes on c5. We play e5. He plays b4, solidifying the pawn that he gained. And you do get the full center, but he's going to be up a pawn.
okay. So
So
maybe we I mean, that's if he takes it. See, like, and also I'm happy for him to take it, because if he does take it, I see what you mean. He can redefend it, but we can also contend it again with a move like b6. He would be up a pawn, but we would be opening up lines for us.
We could play it that way. Taken to me, taken transposes back to a Carl Khan type structure, so it looks if we take and he recaptures, then
Let's
you're
do
in
it.
a
Let's.
misplaced queen in an exchange Carl Khan is how I'm thinking.
I think
But we could do,
the brain has won me over. We're taken, and he recaptures on d4. All right.
and then
So
I think
so we have a semi-open file on the e file now. Well, the white has a semi-open file on the e file.
so. Knight to c6 looks good to me here.
Right.
Pressure on his d pawn.
Okay. I like it. He's now played bishop immediately to b5.
So he pins.
Yep. I was thinking that we can, ask him the question, right? Like, a6, do you want to take? If he does take, I don't care about taking with the pawn. Do you?
I would rather not, but we can't take our queen off of the d file because then we would be uh, undefending the d pawn because it's attacked twice, defended once. So
My
he would.
alternate move is just put it right back at him with now playing bishop to g4, attacking the queen, saying, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah, we could do that. That's kind of what I was thinking too. Go ahead and attack the queen. If he does capture, the knight, then we would just retake with the pawn, and I don't think
And
that's
he's
the end
still
of the
got the
world.
same problem. And I like recapturing with the pawn because I like having the open b file a lot in the Caro-Kann. I like the fact that I can just throw one pawn down the board. I don't have to worry about a pawn storm and being slow sometimes. I can actually just really pressure when they do play the move inevitably b3. I could really pressure that with, like, a5, a4, and, like, make them commit to either weakening and playing b4, or trying to defend it with more pieces, right? And then we could. Uh, I think the Caro-Kann is all about winning a pawn, right? So
Yeah, it
that's
is.
the
Yeah,
ultimate goal here, is to win this pawn. So I think if we defended with bishop d7, that's too slow. Like, that's silly.
oh
Um,
yeah, that undefends the d pawn.
yeah, I think that's silly. So I think we play bishop g4. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, bishop g4 sounds good.
All right, let's see what he does. Hopefully 1900 doesn't have anything crazy for us. Ooh, they took like 1 second longer. All right, they played queen to e3. So they're on a dark square in front of the king now. And we have our bishop out. But it looks like we're going to just get f3'd on the very next move, right?
Probably, yeah, and I did think about that, but if he plays f3, first of all, that opens up the dark square diagonal to where he's probably going to castle. It also blocks his bishop from being able to come straight down and pin the knight. So if he plays, I'm sorry, the queen's placement blocks that bishop check.
Yeah.
So if he plays f3, well, that misplaces the knight and weakens your diagonal to the king. So I would be happy to see that.
I think I would be too, but I think the real question is now we cannot play e5. He did stop that with the queen move, right? So, which was kind of one of our plans, was just to push e5, right? We thought we could do that. Here, the queen is stopping that. Is e6 going to be the viable option here? Is that what we want to do?
Yeah, I think either a6 or uh, yeah, it has to be. Yeah, I think it has to be e6, or we could play
I think
queen.
a6 is slow, because if he puts his bishop there, you're trying to. Now we've already moved the bishop, is why I'm saying that. Is because I'm like, dude, if you're gonna take it, right? Like,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
not. I don't want to play a6. I think that's too
yeah. No,
slow.
no, 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 no. I don't want to play a6. E6.
Okay.
E6 solidifying the pawn chain, or you could do bishop to c7 or b6. That way you could recapture with the queen and not damage your structure.
Right.
Because the problem that I have with him taking and capturing with a pawn is it makes a weakness on the c5 square. So I wouldn't be opposed to playing c7 or b6 with the queen, either one of those, because that is a developing move, and the knight defends the d6 d5 square already. So e6 or either one of those two queen moves looks good to me.
I like e6 because it allows our bishop to maybe move. And if we do want to fianchetto it, we can think about that in the future. But I don't like I mean, maybe we don't fianchetto, right? Like maybe we just play regular and have this entire diagonal to figure out where we want to go. I'm gonna play e6. All right.
All right.
I think that's a good move. So he played h3 instead, which is I think better than f3, right?
For sure. Yeah. Okay.
So do we want to? We got to move the bishop, right?
Yeah, I think drop back to
h5.
Yeah, because that eliminates long castling, so he would have to go kingside, or that, or he pushes the g pawn. So yeah,
And he might do that. I guess that's not the end of the world. He played g4. Computer, man. Computer. So we got to go to g6. Bishop g6, right?
I think so. Yeah.
About our only option. So we play bishop g6. He goes all in, bro. He plays g5. I think now we can actually play knight to e4, though. Am I wrong?
We could.
Because he can take with the knight, but we can recapture with the bishop, and that would target his rook. And the knight's under attack right now. So
Yes. So if we played knight to e4, and he takes, we take with the bishop. If he retreats the knight, then you play queen to a5, hitting the bishop. So yeah, I think that that's the move.
knight e4.
Yeah, knight e4 looks good to me.
All right, let's try this. He might play f. Okay, he plays knight to e2.
Knight to e2.
So, if you don't mind me asking, I know this isn't a free pawn on g5 because it's they have a battery, right? Don't forget the battery that they have. But we almost would have that pawn right there. Is there anything tactical in this situation, or are we just do we need to develop and get castled, or like what should we be doing here? You think this is wild?
So queen to a5 check is a fork.
He doesn't have he doesn't have queen to a5 check. His knight is on c3.
We have queen to a5 check.
His knight is on c3.
It's on c3.
Yeah, and there's another knight on e2 now.
Oh, he played knight to e2. Oh, okay, other knight. Okay, the other knight.
Yep.
I see what you're saying.
All right, so you don't have queen to a5 check.
Yeah. Okay, he played.
I should have said that. I should have said knight g e2. My bad.
Okay. So, what is the idea of this? Why did he play that?
Share your screen real quick with me so I can make sure the position is the same. I don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it?
No, I see you still. That's okay.
He played knight g to e2, so the other knight didn't move. The one
Yeah,
that's still
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
c3, and then he played
As long as you got that, that's fine. I just was letting you know that the knight is still on c3. So
Yeah, I thought he retreated. Okay, so yeah, we don't have. So if we take the knight on
c3.
c3 and he recaptures, he hangs the c pawn.
Well, it's hanging. It's not hang. There's no way to recapture it.
The bishop could take the c pawn, right?
On c3.
C2.
Oh
Bishop takes c2.
no, you could do you could do that immediately right after. Yeah. Sorry, I thought you meant the newly recovered c3 pawn that they would have. But yeah, c2 would be hanging. We could do that. You want to try it?
Is there a reason? So we also have bishop.
He can't castle that way is why I like that move. Because that's his only way to castle right now. If he castles kingside, he is freaking screwed, right?
Yeah, he can't castle
So I
c3.
like what you're saying because it just immediately is like, nah, bro, you can't castle. Like,
Yeah, and also with that is with
So,
the open C file, which is where he's going to want to castle.
now,
You do take
what if
that.
he recaptures with the queen?
True. Yeah, that is true.
I
That's
didn't.
true.
I mean, he could recapture with the knight, right? Like that was what you were thinking, right? Or maybe even the pawn. But like, if he recaptures with the queen, then you don't have the hanging pawn anymore.
Hmm, that is true. That is true.
But then you have a pin on the
Yeah,
queen
then
and the
he's
king.
well, but then he
Bishop.
takes.
Well, yeah, he does take because you can't actually. Oh man,
But now you
terrible.
what about bishop to b4? Because then he couldn't recapture with the queen.
I like it right now. The first playing it first, but he's gonna play. I like it. You want to go for it?
I do like it. I also like you
That's the
know
weakness right now is the bishop, or is that knight right there? So I think if we really pester that, we could maybe get a pawn out of this.
yeah, I like it. Bishop to b4 sounds fine to me.
All right, bishop b4. What's the computer play? Immediately plays a3.
Okay.
So it's better now. We could back the bishop up, but he's just gonna play. Um,
Well, hold on. So if we play knight takes knight takes knight.
he's gonna recapture with the knight or the pawn. Probably the pawn would be the better way to do it.
Okay, so but that messes up his So this is what I'm thinking. If you take with the knight and he recaptures with his knight, then queen to a5 attacks the bishop. It attacks. It pins. Reinforces the pin on the knight, and it keeps him from being able to capture on uh, on b4 with the pawn, or he drops the rook. So it pins the knight, it attacks the bishop, and pins the a pawn.
All right, so you think knight takes c3 is the move here?
I do like it. Let's think here. Also, it makes him recapture with the knight, and allows us to. Of course, I guess he could take the bishop there, but no, he can't because we would take his bishop. So let's play this out. So knight takes, bishop takes our knight, we recapture. He takes on b4. And then the knight could come back to b5. It's kind of an awkward square, but I think it's fine. Yeah, I would. Or you could just double down right now instead of taking anything. Oh, you could just double down right now. Uh, Hold on one second. You could go ahead now and play knight or queen to a5, which he can't take at that point. He can't. He's not able to capture your knight with his knight because it's pinned. He can't capture the bishop with the pawn because it's pinned.
Queen
And
a5 is a dope move. Yeah, because he
and
can't take. If he does take, you take. It gets messy there, but
so if we played that,
that's a wild move. But yeah, that's tactical. It's there. If he takes the bishop, you would take the rook. He would have to. I don't know. The problem is I don't know what he would play after that.
yeah, I like
And you'd
bishop to
also have to
a5.
be worried about your bishop or your queen getting trapped because there is almost no squares for your queen.
Yeah, well, you're attacking that knight three times. So knight takes, knight recaptures, bishop takes, pawn recaptures.
Are you talking about if the queen goes to a5?
Yeah, I like queen to a5. I really do like queen to a5. Just pile up
As
that rook.
opposed to we were saying knight takes, and if that happened, he would take either back with the knight or the pawn. I think the pawn would be better. I think you agree with that too. And that would move
Yeah,
our bishop, and we would just be in kind of an equal position. We can try. Let's try it. Queen a5. Let's try it. The brain
yeah.
says
I think
he
that's
takes. He takes on c6 with his bishop.
yeah.
We have to recapture on c6 with our pawn.
Hmm.
He castles.
He he castles.
King side.
What?
King side. Yep.
Whoa.
Yep. He's brave, bro. He's brave. He's brave.
He definitely is
Our
brave. All
pieces
right.
are on the other side of the board, though. And we're not castled.
So
Right now, if we took with the knight, he takes with the knight. We took with the bishop, he takes with the pawn. We could not take back with the queen, right? He's got enough defenders there.
so
But
if
we
one of
could
these,
take on c2 there.
yeah. So knight takes, knight recaptures. Actually, I think if knight takes, I think pawn recaptures, and we have to retreat.
Yes. And then we could, and then he's probably going to defend, um, well, he might defend c2 then, is what I mean. Our knight is one of our best pieces right now.
Yeah, I don't know that we should. If he takes our knight, then I think you could just recapture with the bishop, and life's good. Because that bishop is just a beast there, right?
Well, he's going to play f3 after that. But yeah. I'm assuming that that's down the road and c2 is covered by then. But I'm not sure. Right now, I'm looking at if we just took with the knight, he recaptures. If he recaptures with the pawn, we could recapture right there. And he couldn't. If he takes with the knight, we're screwed. So we couldn't do that. If he takes with the pawn, we have to move our bishop. 100%. If he takes with the knight, we can take the knight. But
I think we should probably. I think we should probably castle.
I do
Because I
too.
don't know. Yeah, let's castle. I don't think that there's a reason to release that tension.
He's gonna move. Okay, so now he blocks the pin on the rook, so we have to move the dark squared bishop. He plays knight to a2. So we castled. He played knight to a2.
Knight to a2. Okay.
So he's attacking our dark squared bishop again, and we've broken the pin, right? So we need to move the dark squared bishop now. I think we come all the way back to e7 and put pressure on that pawn. But that's me.
What about bishop to d2?
You can't do that because he has a dark squared bishop on c2. Well, no, I guess you can. So you play bishop d2. He takes with the bishop. What? You take with the queen, or you take with the knight? You take with the knight, right? So you play bishop d2. He plays bishop takes d2. You play knight takes. You're attacking the rook. Where are you going after that? Back to.
Well, you can't take with the knight because he could play b4, severing your vision of the knight and attacking the queen, so you'd lose your knight.
All right, so you'd have. All right, no, I get you. That's a good idea. All right, so bishop takes b2, and you take with the queen. He takes your queen. You take with the knight. He's got to move the rook, right? The rook's hit.
Yeah, then the rook comes to b. I'm sorry, to what, to d. He has to at that point play rook to d1, because if he goes to d2, I'm sorry, to e2, then he gets forked on f3. So I think bishop in, he takes. You recapture with the queen. He has to take with the queen, I think, because you would take every pawn that he's got and everything else. When the knight recaptures, I think rook to d1 is forced.
So you'll like this. We play. Don't worry about calculating anymore. We played bishop d2. He took on bishop d2 with his bishop. We played queen takes d2, and he played knight to b4. We have a hanging pawn.
Knight c4.
And he defended a c2 pawn, technically.
Well, I think that you've got, rook over to c8 to defend that pawn.
At the very least, I agree. I also think that if he takes that pawn, you can just simply take c2, right? With your queen attacking the knight, and he would have to move then.
So I think, okay, so if what move would we play if not that? So if we take the queen, he has to take with the f pawn. Has to.
Yeah, he would have to do that first, yes. And that his king is super weak then. But
and then you could take on g5 with your knight. So
yes.
Queen takes queen, f takes.
Let's do it. I like that. You wanted to go for it?
Well, let's
it wins us a pawn because the other thing that I was saying is you also have bishop to g3 attacking the rook.
Well, so if in that line, if we take the queen and he recaptures with the f pawn, do you play rook to c8 and then get your, because then you take the c pawn with a rook and you've got a rook active on the second rank.
If he takes the pawn, yeah.
Oh, but then he retreats to.
Yeah, and he's going to defend it. Well, no, it doesn't matter. Your bishop's on the file. Your bishop and your rook are aligned on c2 at that point.
Yeah, but you'd have to give a.
You'd have to give up the bishop for the knight, but you get a pawn again out of it, so you'd be up 2 pawns.
Well, you'd be up 1 because you're going to lose the c pawn.
No, you're getting the c2 pawn and you're getting the g5 pawn.
Yeah, but so if we take on g5 and he takes on.
No, right now you're taking on. So you take the queen, he takes, and then you take on g5 right there, right?
Right.
If he takes on c6, you play rook c8. He either needs to play rook over, which is a move that he probably should play, rook over to c1 in that position. I would imagine that would be what he would play.
He has to move the knight or he loses the knight.
Well, not if he defends it with a rook.
But the c pawn's still there right now, right? So queen takes queen, f takes.
Yeah.
Knight takes g5.
Yeah.
His knight takes c6.
Yeah.
When you slide your rook over, the c pawn is still there.
Yep. And actually, if he takes on c6 and you play, you'd have to play rook f to c8 because otherwise you'd hang the a7 pawn.
Yeah.
So, but if you do that, he doesn't. He would have to. He has no way to defend the knight unless he puts a rook on the file or he just moves the knight. Moving the knight back would probably be a fine move, but moving or if you leave the knight there, he could defend it by playing rook c1 as well. I'm gonna take the queen. That's what we're gonna do. We'll simplify this because this is complicated. So he takes back, right, instantly.
Okay.
So now he has an open f file, right? And I mean, we have a pawn on that file, but he has a semi-open file. We can now take g5 with no repercussions, is what I think we should do. But
which also, actually, if he takes on c6, we could take on h3.
we could. That's what I'm saying. Like I think we should take on g5, no questions here.
Yeah, let's take it.
All right. Knight takes g5. He pushes h4, which is that's fair, right? We can't go h3 or we'll lose the knight. So.
Yeah, I think you're only. Well, hold on a second.
I mean,
yeah,
you could defend it with bishop to e5, but they could simply maybe take the bishop, right, in the future.
He played h4.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to move the knight. So yeah. So knight
Knight e4 again. Knight h3, you're gonna lose the knight if you're not careful. You can't move the knight anywhere from h3.
Yeah, no.
So I
So
was
yeah, I
thinking
guess
knight
forced.
e4 again.
Yeah, forced. Yeah.
All right, knight e4. He takes on c6. Now here is where I was thinking we play rook to c8. But it needs to be the f rook because otherwise you hang a7
That's true.
and you'll win the pawn. Unless now right now the knight is blocking, but we can still probably get what we want by moving our knight and then getting that pawn.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's good. I like knight to c8 or rook to c8. Yeah, rook f to
Rook
c8.
f to c8. All right. Oh, he's got a fork. I missed it. We both missed it. He played he played knight to e7. We got forked.
Yeah, so I think queen f8 is
Yeah,
forced.
got to do that. He takes. We take back on c8. All right. He's up material, right? Um, we do, I think, have a advantage at least in the fact that we're like more, out and about than he is. But
Yeah. So
do you
so
want to play?
now
Do you want to play a move like a5 to stop him from playing b4, or like, what is your plan here? Because I don't have much of one here other than like crap. We can't trade.
what did he play when after we recaptured with the rook?
What do you mean?
So he forked us. We played king to f8. He took the rook. We recaptured the rook or the
Yep.
knight.
And
And then what?
he played c3.
Okay, see.
Sorry about that.
So hmm, that's brutal.
Yeah, this is tough. Because us bringing our knight in is just not really going to do us much good. Um, Knight to g3 doesn't do much here.
Well,
Well, knight to g3 just gets captured by their knight, actually.
knight to d2 threatens the fork on c4. You're forking the b and the e pawns. Yeah, I think
Knight d2.
knight d2 and then knight c4, and that's a fork.
Okay, we'll try it. Knight d2. He moves the rook over to c3. So we now we actually have a better fork. I have knight to b3, right?
He moved to c3.
He played rook to c1. Excuse me.
Which rook?
Rook f to c1. Sorry.
C1.
My apologies. I need to get better at this.
Oh yeah, okay. So yeah.
So now we have a better fork, right? We have knight to b3, right?
Yeah, knight b3. Yeah.
All right, we get our piece back at least.
So
Um,
which
he played knight to f4 here,
he plays knight f4.
which is
He
attacking our
wants
bishop.
Yeah, he wants our bishop. We don't have to rush to cash in on that fork
No,
here.
we have that still. That doesn't matter.
So what about bishop to f5? So that because I don't really want to play
What about bishop to d4 blockading? Is that not good?
bishop to d bishop where?
I said d4. I meant e4. Bishop to e4 blockading the
Yeah,
pawn.
but then maybe he plays knight to g2 and just pushes us. Or no, it doesn't.
He can't do anything there.
Yeah, that actually. Yeah, I think that's better. Yeah, I think bishop to e4 is probably the best.
Let's play bishop e4 here. We still have our fork. He brings the king up to king f2.
But that's defended, so it's not a big deal here.
Well, I'm just saying, like, he just moved the king, so he played king f2 here.
Yeah.
This is an endgame, so we can expect the king to come out.
So
But we could take a rook whenever we want. We still have the fork. But we don't want to allow him anything to get the rooks out of this.
yeah. So I think materials.
Gonna be even when we do this. He has a queenside majority for sure, which is scary. That's why trading the pieces will be scary, because his pawns are a little more ready to go forward. We could move our king right now. I'm just trying to make sure his knight can't go anywhere. And if he moves a rook, we take the other rook, right? But right now we could, like... it would be cool if he moved a rook, because it would be a wasted move, right? That's why he hasn't moved it yet, is because it would be a wasted move, because we're going to take one.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to, maybe king to e7 and start getting the king active in this end game.
All right, let's play king e7. All right, he moved rook to g7. Or g1, excuse me, rook to g1. So we need to take on a1, right?
Yeah,
No?
Take the rook, yeah.
All right, he recaptured on a1 with his rook. Now it's equal.
So if we play now...
Rook to b8. Oh, you want to move the king forward. Okay, yeah, we could do that too.
Well, if we do that...
It's smart.
He has a fork, or I mean a check on h5, forcing us back.
Oh, you're saying if you played king f6?
Yeah. If you play king f6, he plays knight to.
I wasn't gonna go that way. I would have gone the other way. I was gonna go king d6 and walk towards the pawns, bro. Like, those are mine. I'm gonna eat them all.
So to me, I'm looking, because we have the majority on the king side. I think that the king should be over here, trying to promote these pawns that we have over here.
I mean, I see what you mean. I'm worried. I'm like, bro, I think that we could eat pawns, but and I think that his king is stuck over there, and worst comes to worst, we fucking eat all the pawns on the queen side and promote our a pawn.
Well, his king, though, is closer to those pawns than ours is. So if we do leave, we're going to undefend all these pawns over here on the king side, and his rook and knight could probably swoop in, and his king could just defend.
I don't think he can get in. I mean, maybe he'd have to do a bunch of knight jumps. If he goes knight to h5, we can even just play g6 there. If he plays knight g7, I mean, what is he gonna do? Like, he can't go anywhere from there. He's stuck if he plays knight g7.
We could play it either way. I think that because even if you do take all those pawns on the queen side, you still need to promote your own pawns.
So I was thinking that we play like a move like a5, a4, and then like rook b8.
I think that we probably.
I just want to stop him from pushing on the queen side, because right now he's got b4.
Yeah. Well, but he needs to stop us from pushing on the king side. So I think that we're better off to go king side and try to promote our own pawns, because I think that because he wants to push his, we want to push ours, and his king is closer. He could rotate the knight around. Our bishop's not able to get over there and help. I think that if we're going to win, I think that it has to be king on the king side trying to help push these pawns.
I can play all right, so f6 g5, right? He takes g5, we take g5. He's got to move the knight. He can move the knight to h5 there, but we would have potentially two connected pawns.
So f6,
g5,
h5. We play g5. He en passants.
We take with g7, or we take on g6 with our pawn.
And then he doesn't have. Yeah, maybe that is the move. So here and here, en passants. Yeah, I think I would probably play either king up or f6. One of those two.
Well, you could also do the same thing kind of right now by playing h6, right? h6 g5. But
well, h6.
Then he would be able to push, and he would be able to at least lock up that, but we would have a pass pawn out of it. maybe.
so this is so if we push h6 and he pushes h5, then if we push g5 and he en passant, we have to recapture with the f pawn, which breaks your pawns apart.
No, you're right. All right, so let's play f6. Let's just go ahead with
All right,
that. We played f6.
all right.
He played rook to g1.
Rook to g1. Now, knight to so if we play king over to f7, he could double attack that with the knight to
That's easy. You just play. You could bring the rook over to g8, right? But then you could also maybe just play g6, right?
so I would probably play, yeah, I'm probably playing king to f7 here.
Okay. King f7 it is. He played king to e2. I keep saying he. Olga is a she, and I apologize, Olga.
Wait a minute.
So we could play e. I see e5 is potentially a move. If he takes, we take back. He's got to move the knight, and he can't move the knight anywhere forward. Well, he could go to h5 still, which is, like we said, the double attack. We could also play in that position bishop back to g6.
I'm kind of thinking rook to g8 to set up this push on g5.
What do you
Now,
think? What do you think? So do you think rook to b8? He's just gonna play b4, right?
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've got to forget about that over there. I think that you got to forget about those pawns and try to win the race on the king side. He's going to be trying to promote pawns over there. We have to promote pawns over here.
Okay.
So I think if you play rook to g8, whatever he plays, I think you almost have to play g5. He takes, you take back with the rook probably. No, you would take back with the f pawn. You would have to take back with the f pawn.
Yep.
Then he plays. Then he plays knight to here, and then this. Yeah, I think it has to be rook to g8. I think that's what I think.
All right. I think it's passive, but all right. He played knight to d3 pretty much immediately.
Knight to d3. Okay.
So he
this,
it looks like he wants to play knight to c5, maybe like get in like that somehow, or maybe knight to b4.
I think here you go for it. I think it's
g5. All right, g5 it is. He takes g5. We recapture, right? With
Well, hold on. So we could do this one of two ways. So we could do the pawn, and now we've got connected passers, or we take with the rook. If he recaptures, we take with our pawn, and we still. I think in this position you're better off taking with the rook.
if he doesn't take though, then you don't have connected passers.
Yeah, but what? So if we do that, if we take with the rook,
The other thing is if you take with the pawn, he can play knight to e5 check.
yeah, but so takes here. Okay, no, you're right. You're right about the pawn. So maybe if I took here and he takes, you play that, he plays that check.
It's probably better to take with the rook. You're right. I agree. But if he doesn't take, then you're like, ugh. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but if he doesn't take, then what's he gonna do? Because then you're threatening to play, maybe rook to g2. So I think rook takes is the move.
You said, what is he going to do?
So if rook takes g5 and he plays, if he's not careful here, you could get in rook to g2.
Well, he could play rook to f1, for instance, and then he could play knight to e5 check. You know what I mean? Like, it does get kind of like dicey there. I almost don't care that he can play it if we take with the pawn, because he can't do shit with the rook anyways, with two connected pass pawns. The connected pass pawns are like a rook by itself.
So what if you take the knight right now with check? He recaptures,
And then we do
then
it.
and then you take with the pawn.
Yeah, and then it's connected and we don't have to worry about the check.
Yeah,
All
I
right,
like that.
let's do it. We'll take the knight on d3 with check. He takes with the king. On d3, we take with the pawn, right? That's what we talked about.
Yep.
And now we can just walk these guys to freedom, right?
Walk him to glory, baby. So what did he play?
He played e4. So he's attacking our d5 pawn.
All right, so I think here, king to g6. Or h5. Because I don't. If he takes that, who cares?
We don't care, right?
It's all at this point.
I just
it's
didn't
all
know
about
if I wanted him to push.
Or honestly, what about just
I guess it doesn't matter though.
what about just get to the point and pushing g4?
We could do that, and then play h5.
So if we push all the way down the board, and he stays right.
I want
where
the
he is,
connected pass pawn to be there because he's going to get his king involved before ours if we're not careful. Because he might push e5 right now, and then we're going to have to zigzag our king in.
So let's think about this. If we pushed all the way down with the g pawn,
He can bring his king and he can take it. I
Yeah.
want to have the connected pass pawn with it. Like, I want the connection with it too. So I like h5, and I also like g4 because we can just push h5. But my problem with all that is that he can start bringing his king in before us. He can play king e3, he can play king f4, and he's like there, right? And we're not. So I
So-
kind of like bringing the king forward to f6. If he gives us a check, maybe we move. If I don't know.
You don't need to work all three of those down together. So we got to be accurate here. So it's either h5 or g4. If we played g4 and he slid over to attack the h pawn, I think you just step up, right? Or you could play h5 and he can't take anything,
And then we
and
play g4.
and then you could start just ladder stepping these bad boys, right? So
Let's do h5 then. I like that because, like you said, he can slide over if we just play g4, and then we're back and forth. And
okay, did you move it?
no, I haven't. Do you? Are you down with that? Do you think that's good?
So
h5.
let me just think. So h5, he plays over, you play here, he comes back, king steps up. Yeah, I like it. h5's fine.
All right, h5. At least we have a friend with our g pawn. He plays b4. So we need to win the race now. This is a race.
So if we push,
g4.
if we do, he goes here, we go here, he goes here. Okay. We play this. He pushes here. Or do we do this, this? If we push here, he's going to go there. Then we have to waste a move going over. You know, honestly, maybe we should bring the king.
Yeah.
No, we're wasting time at doing that. So if we play here and he comes over, then you play here. I think make him play it. So h4.
Yeah, and then we play g4, g3, right?
Yeah, I
Sort
think
of
h4.
style. And if we have to, we have to bring the king. If we have to move the rook and waste a move, we have to. So he takes on d5.
Okay. Recapture.
Recapture on d5. He's probably all right. He plays b5.
Okay. So I think. So if we take it, comes with check. So that does waste one of his moves, but then he has an uncontested pawn.
You can't take on b5 yet.
He can't take on d5 yet?
No, we can't take on b5.
Oh, C4. I mean, I
Okay.
think yeah, I think you take on C4.
Well, he has so he has a pawn on C3, a pawn on D4, a pawn on A3, and a pawn on B5. Those are where his pawns are.
Okay, hold on. So what was his last move?
His last move was pawn to B4 or B5. Pawn to B5.
On B5.
Yeah.
Okay. So H3. I like H3.
He gives us a check. Rook to F1.
Rook to F1 check. And then I think
King to G6 maybe. Or I mean you can't go the other way really, right? And maybe you can.
yeah, rook to G6, I think.
King to G6, right?
Yeah, King G6. Yeah.
All right, King G6. He plays A4.
H2.
So if you play H2, he's probably going to play... He actually doesn't have to play Rook H1, right? He can just kind of wait.
Well, yeah, but that gets it in the spot to go. So at that point, then you start walking up with the king and the G pawn, right? So
Yeah, I got you. And we need to bring... All right, so he plays C4 immediately. So do we want to play Rook to H8 just now? If we play Rook H8, he's going to play Rook H1. Right? Or he's going to lose the Rook. But he might be able to promote.
I think you push G4. Because none of that matters if we promote. So he takes our pawn, we take his, he takes ours.
All right, he plays C5.
C5.
We could play G3 here. And if he puts the rook, he can't move the rook, right? Like he can't do anything.
G3, yeah, I think G3.
He plays rook to E1, so he can try and give a check probably.
Rook to E1?
Yep.
Is that an open file?
It is for him, yes. Our pawn is on D5, blockading.
So do we have an E pawn still?
We have a D pawn, D5.
So he must have taken our D pawn and we recaptured, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let me play that out. So he goes to the E5.
So let me tell you where the pawns are. Our pawns are on H2, G3, right? Then we have D5, and then we have A7. He's got... White has D4, C5, B5, and A4. All connected, right?
Okay. Yeah, so I think...
and now his rook is on E1, and our rook is on G8, and our king is on G6, and his king is on D3.
Yeah, I think G2.
All right. What happens if he gives us a check? We just move?
We just move, yeah. He plays check. We could attack the rook.
He played rook to E7, so we can promote here for free.
Okay, so rook to E7, attacking that pawn.
Yeah. Do we... It's important which pawn we promote here, because I think the G1 pawn is what we want to promote. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It still takes 2 moves to check the king.
He moved rook to E7?
Yeah. I think we're about to win because we're going to promote. So.
We're going to get 2 queens.
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't think it matters. Which one you want to do?
We're going to do G1. Queen.
Did you already do it?
Yep.
Okay. Right,
he takes A7.
Okay.
So, what do you want to do?
Well, he can't go forward with the king, so I think it's queen to G3. And then he's going to get ladder mated in the center of the board.
queen g3. He's got to go back.
Where's he go?
He goes back to c2. King c2. We would have to move our rook over if we want to ladder mate him, or move our king, one or the other.
So what if you just promote the other queen right now?
We can do that too.
So
Queen.
I think.
Yeah, we'll just play h1 queen.
Yeah.
He played a5. I think he's dysfunctioned. So we're gonna ladder mate. We're gonna play h2, queen h2, and then we're gonna play queen g1. Checkmate. GG, Olga. GG.
Game
dude,
over.
We did it. We beat a 1900, dude.
Game over.
Dude, we beat a 1900. I don't think I've ever beaten a 1900 at all. Have you?
No.
Dude, that's awesome. That was so fun.
Can you send me? All right, so let's go through the game here. Let's see. So, yeah, it's the Sicilian. Oh, this is the Van something. Okay, so knight. Okay, they like. Yeah, I don't like e6. All right, so you walk us through the review, and I'll just stay move for move. I'll stay with you.
Sure. Yeah, so they played e3, which we weren't expecting, right? But we just played c5. They brought the knight out inaccurately to c3. I don't even know what the computer wanted there. What's the computer want there?
d4.
D4, yeah, and that makes sense, right? I mean, like what the heck is? I would more expect even knight to f3 as opposed to knight to c3 here, but maybe the computer didn't like it. We played d5, and they brought the queen out to f3, which is another inaccurate move. What's the computer say that they like better?
They like d4 still.
Yep. And that makes sense, right? I mean, just fighting for the center, keeping pressure on the d5 pawn as well. I mean, especially if you make an inaccurate move, before, you don't really want to follow it up twice, right? We played knight f6, which is by all means a good move. The computer didn't dislike that. And then they played d4.
Computer wanted the bishop check, yeah.
Yeah, and that makes sense here, right? Like, I mean, I kind of thought we could play c4 in a position like that, right? And, like, shut down and maybe en passant if they did do something like that, but that would have shut it all down. But we took on d4 instead. They recapture, which is the best. Say it again.
You were right though about knight to c6. That's the move they wanted. I was worried about him taking and reinforcing that pawn, but they're saying no. Go ahead and take the knight and put it on c6. So you were right there.
No, it's all right. It's all good. Like I played the Caro-Kann, right? Like same as you. So I mean, I know certain positions, but I mean, you might know them better than I do. That was just one where I felt like that might be the move, but I don't think our move was bad either, right? And we played knight c6 now after they took on d4, and then they pinned our knight with bishop to b5. We played a counter-attack sort of move, like bishop to g4, which is a good move. It wasn't a bad move. It actually says black is a little better here. Do you see that as well? Just a little bit. They brought the queen over to e3, which I think, by all means, the computer doesn't love it, but I think it's a good move. I didn't know what else. I mean, what else are you going to really do there, right? Like, Yeah. So I think that's a decent move. We played e6 here. Another good move. This is regular Caro-Kann stuff, right? None of this is really hard or anything.
Yeah, and that's the reason I liked taking there, is so that we get a structure we're familiar with. So he played something crazy in the opening, but we forced him to transpose into something that both of us are more familiar with.
Yeah, and he played h3, right? And we just back the bishop up, best move. He plays g4, inaccuracy, and we play bishop to g6. He plays another inaccurate move, g5, and we kind of figured this was inaccurate, right? We're getting to the point where it's like, dude, are you going to be able to castle, or like what's going on here? So we played knight to e4. He played knight to e2. We bring the bishop out to pin, which is inaccurate. What's the best move here, Bill?
Oh, knight to d6.
Oh, okay. So as opposed to bringing the bishop out to b4, we wanted to play knight to d6. Is that what you said?
Yeah, knight to d6, yeah. But I didn't love that because look how passive that is.
It does feel passive, but I guess the thought is reroute it to c4.
Well, and it also attacks
The bishop.
immediately
Yeah, the
C2.
bishop. Yep.
Yeah, C2 and the bishop. Yeah, that's true.
Well, it attacks that bishop. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. Okay, so that makes sense. I mean, that's a good move. So he just plays A3, which is the best move in that position, right? Saying what's up with the bishop. We played a little fancy here. This was our mistake. We played Queen A5.
Does it say it's a mistake?
Yeah.
On mine, it says it's a good move. This threatens to win material because the defender is pinned.
Oh, that's funny. Let me explain this real quick. Let's look at it. Let's see why. It says that you definitely need to take on C3. That's what mine says. But it says that I think it's because our queen, like I said, gets kind of stuck over there.
Okay.
I think that's why. If you look at it, we can't move the queen anywhere on the file. If we took on A1, if you get the rook, like if they take and you take on the rook, which is what the line was, your queen can't move anywhere. It's got queen A2 is the only move, right? And then I mean it's kind of trapped over there. I don't know if that's why, but the computer says it's still better for us. But it said it was a mistake for some reason. So he takes on C6, right? We take on C6. He castles. That's a mistake, and we don't find the move. We castled. There was, I think, a tactic here that we missed. It was taking that bishop that we were so diehard on getting. And I think the point is that if he takes on I don't know. I was gonna say if he takes the knight, even if he takes with the pawn, you could almost even take on A3. Let's see what the moves are. Oh wait. So it says that if you take with the pawn, you back the bishop up to D6, and you just have a better position, basically.
As opposed to castles, right?
Yes, yes. So you would play knight takes C3. He recaptures with the pawn on C3, and you back the bishop up to D6 in that position, and that's just better.
Oh yeah, because you're laser beaming up. Okay,
Yeah.
That makes sense. Okay.
So we castled. He dropped the knight back, and then we played bishop to D2, which is not a bad move. It is inaccurate, but
it shows it's inaccurate on yours as well.
Yeah.
See, mine shows that it's a good move.
I wonder if we have different depths of our computer on right now.
I don't know.
So I get to where we played queen takes, right, and then he played knight to B4.
Right.
Us taking on E3 was just a decent move, wasn't the best move, but he recaptures.
That one's inaccurate for me. Yeah.
I think it's a good move. I don't know. I think it's funny that our computers are not in sync right now. But I'm at the point where we get knight E4. All right.
So take the pawn and then go back to E4.
Yeah, we played knight E4. Yep, went back. He takes on C6 with his knight, and we blundered with rook to C8.
Yeah.
You got that as well?
Yep.
Let's see what the better move was. So knight to E8 is actually the better move there.
Mine tells me push F6.
That's funny. I think just not doing what we did was was probably it, because we get forked, right? Like that was the first thing. I think knight E8 was a good move because it gives your king a square to walk to the center, and then and walk towards the knight, kind of like we did. He takes the rook. We take on C8. We played knight to D2, which was inaccurate, but it actually allowed us to get the fork again. Bishop to E4 was just a decent move, and he blundered with knight or king to F2, and we missed it. Yeah.
So what was the moves?
Rook to B8.
Oh, pawn. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, I like that. That's pretty.
Okay.
I didn't see that at all, and you didn't either, I guess. But we did get the rook that we so desired. He takes back on a1. We played pawn to f6. He brings the rook over, attacking the g7 pawn. We played king to f7. Not the best move, but good move. I think we're solid here. Rook to g8 was a mistake, and me and you bickered about this move, I think, a bit.
Yeah.
But I think overall it was just a bit passive, but it was a good move. So pawn a5 was actually the move, and it was just trying to prevent b4. And the problem is he can still play b4, right? But you just take, and then you have less to deal with on that side of the board, was my thought on it.
Yeah.
It's just one less thing to worry about. As opposed to letting him, I don't know. Like, I think the way we played it, it didn't matter because he didn't play it right? We played g5 after this. He takes, we take the knight, which was by far the best move. He takes with the king, and we take back on g5 with the pawn, best move. And we just ignored him. Let's kind of keep it moving. So h3 was inaccurate. Do you have that as well?
H5?
No, I went way past that. I went to where we played h3. Pawn h3.
Oh, yeah, inaccuracy. Okay. No,
Yeah, and it's just because it wanted g4 first. It wanted us to really support it all. He gives us the check, and we go king g6, which is good. And h2 is is a mistake. So it wanted g4. h2 almost equalizes us again.
Yeah. Yeah, we lost a lot on that. But
Yeah.
I was thinking here, we're in a race. We could always support this with the rook and then bring the king. So that's what I was thinking. But I actually he may be able to use his king to.
Yeah, he beats us in the king races. Why? That was kind of what I was like. Oh God, like what are we gonna do? But you were like, nah, he's got to worry about us. I was like, I get it. Like it kind of does. Like I'd be worried if I was him.
Yeah.
But he does win the king race if he plays rook h1. He missed it, and we get g4 in, and now it's 100% for us. Sorry for going back and forth on this stupid thing. No. When you watch the video, you'll see that I keep going back and forth between a screen, and it's gonna be annoying. I might need to edit some of that out. We played g2. He brings the rook into e7, and that's just crazy. We promote g1, best move. Queen g3, king, promote, and just a simple ladder to finish her off. That was solid, dude. I mean, I know they underplayed, right? The computer says they played like a 1550, and we played like a 1800. Is that what you have?
That's what I have too. Yeah.
But interesting.
Some days you play above your rating, some days you play below your rating, and the thing is too, they're not supposed to play all the best engine moves, and when you put pressure on somebody, you force them to find good moves.
Yeah.
And if you don't find the good move, whatever.
Right.
So, just like with these pawn pushes down the board, they weren't it wasn't played the most accurate, we didn't play it as accurately as it could have been played, but he didn't have the best response.
No, he didn't. Yeah.
Because of it. So,
yep.
That's the thing. Man, I'm all about pushing those passed pawns. If I got a passed pawn and we're racing, I'm pushing them bad boys.
I love it because I was uncomfortable in that situation because I wanted to like somehow deal with his queen side like right then, but you were like, nope, we're gonna focus on the king side. So against my better judgment, I was like, sure, okay, and it worked. So, well, dude, thank you for making the video today with me. This was really fun. I'm gonna definitely, we'll both have this on our channel, guys. So Bill will have a version, I'll have a version, and I hope everyone enjoyed today's game. It was pretty fun beating up on old Olga.
More fun for us than Olga, I'm sure.
Oh no, yeah, for sure. With your help, dude. I mean, dude, we put a hurting on that 1900.
Yeah, we put a whipping on her. That was good. That was good stuff.
Well, dude, you know I love you, brother, and I appreciate you for coming aboard. Do you have any outro comments? What you got to say?
I think that's it, man. I think we covered it. Thank you guys for stopping by and watching our video.
All right, as always, over and out. Later, guys.